What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with my SEC conference predictions. Let's get into it here. And we got the worst team. It's going to be Arkansas, the Razorbacks. They're going to get 3 wins. It's going to be none in SEC play. It's going to be UAPB, UAB, and Louisiana Tech. Those are going to be their 3 wins. So rough year for Arkansas. And it's going to be the same thing for Vanderbilt. They're going to get actually one SEC win. It's going to be against South Carolina at home. They're going to be Elkhorn State and Ball State, but yet again, another rough year for Vanderbilt just because they're in the SEC and, they haven't really had a good football program in the last few years. 4-8 is going to be South Carolina. They're going to get wins against Old Dominion, Akron, Texas A&M actually in an upset win at home. And then they're also going to beat Wofford and nothing to write home about. Florida, 5-7. Hardest schedule in the nation is what a lot of people are saying, and I looked at it and I can agree. Miami week 1 loss. Samford at home should beat them. Texas A&M at home loss. Go into Mississippi State and actually get a win, and I think that's going to be a decent win at that point in the season. Then they're going to beat UCF at home. Then this is where it goes downhill. Tennessee lost. Kentucky get a win. Loss against Georgia. Loss against Texas. They will beat LSU though in the swamp. I think that's going to be a tricky game for LSU late in the year. But then they're going to lose to Ole Miss and Florida State. So Florida, they got a lot of ranked teams on that schedule to start the year. You got, let's see, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. You got 7 ranked teams on your schedule to start the year. You know, good luck with that. Mississippi State, they're going to finish 5-7 as well. Start 3-0 actually, beating Eastern Kentucky, Arizona State, and Toledo. But then that's where it goes downhill. You're going to lose 4 in a row to Florida, Texas, Georgia, and Texas A&M. Rebound with 2 wins against Arkansas and UMass, then lose the final 3 to Tennessee, Missouri, and Ole Miss. Oklahoma, now this might be a shock to some people, but I'm looking at that schedule and unfortunately Oklahoma is going to be that one team that falls and has a bad year in the SEC in their first year. They're going to start 3-0, however, with wins against Temple, Houston, and Tulane. Tulane's going to be a tricky game. I already have them, upsetting another team in the Big 12. That's where it gets bad. They're going to lose to Tennessee at home, lose in Auburn. Then they have a bye. Then they go to Dallas for the Red River rivalry, lose to Texas, beat South Carolina, lose to Ole Miss in Oxford, beat Maine at home in a blowout, and lose the final 3 against Missouri, Alabama, and LSU. Venables might be fired, or he'll be on the hot seat enter next week just because 5-7 isn't going to cut it for Oklahoma in the SEC. Now we talk about some bowl eligible teams. You get Kentucky going 7-5. Their losses are going to be to Georgia, Ole Miss, Florida, Tennessee, and Texas. Georgia or Kentucky and that Florida game in Gainesville, it's going to be a tough game for them. They could win that one, possibly get to 8-4, but I'm giving Florida the benefit of the doubt in that one. Now 8-4, we got Auburn. Auburn is a team that's going to start out really hot, go 5-0, probably be ranked at one point in the season. They're going to be Alabama, A&M, Cal, New Mexico, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. But then that's where they lose 3 in a row. It's going to be Georgia, Missouri, and Kentucky. Rebound nicely with 2 easier opponents in Vanderbilt, UL, Monroe, and then beat Texas A&M actually at home. And then they're going to lose to Alabama in the Iron Bowl because it's in Alabama this year. I don't think they have much of a chance in that game, at least on paper right now. But if things change, then it is a rivalry game. And you never know. Texas A&M is also going to finish 8-4. They're going to start out hot, win 5 in a row, beat Notre Dame week 1, which is going to be a big game for them. Beat Florida in the swamp week 3. And then the first loss is going to come to Missouri at home in week 6. They're going to lose to South Carolina in an ugly game in Columbia. And then they're going to go to Auburn, lose probably another ugly game, and then lose against Texas and College Station at the end of the year. Because this A&M team does well through the first 3/4 of the season and then falls apart. At least it feels that way the last few years. Now 10-2, we're going to get Alabama. And Bama, they're not going to lose until they go to Knoxville and face Tennessee. And they're also going to lose against LSU in Baton Rouge. And I think 10-2 is very good for Alabama. For DeBoer's first season taking over, it's always tough to replace a good coach, a great coach, and possibly the greatest coach of all time. 10-2, Alabama, let's say they get into the playoff spot. I think they're very happy. Georgia, they're also going to finish 10-2. Their loss are going to be against Alabama on the road. And then they're also going to lose to Ole Miss on the road in Oxford. Now, Georgia, 10-2. I don't think they're going to be happy with Kirby Smart if they finish 10-2, where you look at almost all these other programs, they'd be thrilled to go 10-2. But just because Carson Beck is there and really leading the charge, number one team in the country preseason poll. I don't know. I just think Georgia, I think they're due for possibly not a down year. I guess it technically would be, but I just don't think they're going to get to the SEC championship game this year. LSU, same boat. They're going to be right there, but just can't do it. They're going to start actually 7-0. Then they're going to go to College Station and lose that game. Rebound with a win against Alabama at home in Baton Rouge. Then they're going to lose in the Swamp. Like I said, talking about Florida, that LSU game, I think it's going to be a trap game for them because they got Vanderbilt the next week and Oklahoma to close it out. So they're like, oh, well, we're going to be good. We're going to get in the playoff where that Florida, that Alabama game and then the Florida game, it's going to be tricky for them. And that's why I have them losing. Texas also finishing 10-2. They're going to lose to Michigan in Ann Arbor, and they're also going to lose to Georgia in Austin. So, those games could go either way. I guess you could say the same thing about some other games where against Texas A&M, but those two tough games in their schedule, Michigan and Georgia, are their two toughest games. Their two losses are their two toughest games. So if they do lose those and win out, honestly, Texas might be left out because their strength of schedule just isn't good compared to some of these other LS or SEC teams like LSU and Georgia. Now, Missouri, I have going 11-1. I think this is going to be the year where the non-powerhouse teams in the SEC get to the SEC championship game, and it's still not going to be Missouri going 11-1. I don't know how the tiebreaker works all the way because I do head-to-head and conference standings and all that, but after that, I'm not really sure. So it could be either Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee, a combination. One of those three they're going to get in based on tiebreakers. And Missouri being the odd team out, their loss is going to be at Alabama, but they're going to win all the other games. And their schedule very favorable as well. Alabama's their toughest game. Maybe the South Carolina game or at Arkansas at the end of the year. And like I said, Brady Cook, as long as he's there and healthy, Missouri's going to be very good. Same with Jackson Dart and Ole Miss. They're going to go 11-1. Their only loss is going to be LSU at Baton Rouge. And Jackson Dart's going to lead this team to the promised land. Lane Kiffin's going to get to an SEC championship. But unfortunately, he's going to lose to Tennessee in the SEC championship, with Tennessee's only loss actually being Georgia in Athens. I think that's a big win for Georgia, like I said, because they're going to go 10-2 at that point in the season. Tennessee is going to be 9-0. A 9-0 team facing a Georgia team that already has two losses. They need that win. That's going to keep Georgia right around that playoff hunt and probably get in. But Tennessee's going to win the SEC, be 12-1. And I don't know. It just feels like with Nico under center, the Tennessee, that's really what they've been missing, a consistent quarterback. And I think they can do it this year and be really, really good. But that's going to be it for my conference predictions. Check back next time to see my weekly picks on who I think is going to win the big games and my rankings for each and every week of the college football season. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.